All right, so task on this 455 today, or right now in this video, is to replace the fuel filter. And at the same time, we're going to replace this bowl right here. I have both parts. Here's the fuel filter, CH15553. That is the fuel filter. And then here is the cover. It's called, I guess the Deere calls this a cover, CH15983. You can see it right there. The reason I'm replacing the cover, this doesn't have to be done, is I've got some cracks down here. This machine sat outside quite a while without the covers. If you look at the battery, you can see how faded the battery is on the front. So I know that some of the components on the engine, like this cover or this bowl, have the fuel bowl, have a lot of UV damage on them. So I want to go ahead and get them replaced. That way they're not causing problems into the future. What I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is turn the fuel off. Just like that. That turns the fuel off. And then what I'm going to do is this ring right here, you loosen this ring up. I'm going to do that with a pair of channel locks. If I can get it adjusted right one-handed. I'm going to have to do this two-handed, so let me go ahead and get this ring loosened up, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it some more. I'm going to set you on the tire there, and hopefully I don't drop you. So what we're going to do, and you can do this any number of ways. The problem is getting this in here. You're going to have to go around some fuel lines, things like that. Hopefully you can see. You could take that return line off if you wanted to, which is this line right here is the return line. It's not necessarily anything important, but you know, you could take it off if you want to. So now that I've got it loosened up, I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. I do have a bowl underneath the tractor that's holding on to everything. Diesel fuel is going to leak. So if you dislike the smell of diesel fuel, it's just something you're going to have to deal with in this particular case. Once you get the cover off, hopefully you can see this. I can't, the screen's gone black on the camera. What you can do, you should be able to pull the filter off. I take it this filter has not been changed in a long time. All right, what I'm going to try to do is get the cover off to the side here, like so. That way I can pull the filter off. There we go. All right, so the filter's off. Now I'm going to pull the cover and the filter out together, and I'm just going to empty them into the bowl down here. Ooh, look at that. That's nice. Hopefully you can see that. And there's the filter, clearly time to be replaced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my hands real quick and kind of go from there. Here's an O-ring we'll need. We'll go from there. Okay. All right, so let's analyze what we've got here. We've got our fuel filter that looks just absolutely disgusting. Looks like it's been there a while. Just judging from everything at the top. I mean, the fact that this plastic is just flaking off top of the filter. So that's good. The fact that we've got a new one, I mean, clearly there's a little bit of junk down in there, so on and so forth. Our bowl, on the other hand, or cover, we're going to do is we're going to take our ring off. We're just going to put it over here. We're going to need this O-ring. I did not get another one of those. I probably should have. We will also need the spring and the red float. The red float is designed to float in water. So if there's water in the bottom, that red float will come up. Now looking down in there, that is just absolutely disgusting. Sorry about the camera. Looking down in there, I mean, it's just disgusting in there. Everything that's coming out, and you can see it. That's all. My gloves were clean. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up and put the new filter and the new cover on, etc. We'll go from there. All right, so got everything cleaned up. That was a pretty simple process now that I've got all this loose in here. You can see I've got the spring in there, got the red float. I've got the O-ring back on here. Shockingly enough, the O-ring was in pretty decent condition. I half expected to almost need to buy a new one. I forgot to order one, or I would. And I may still go back and actually replace the O-ring. So we're going to set that right there. And then here is the new fuel filter. So I'm going to have to go back and look, and I'm going to have to ask around and see if anybody remembers when they changed from a plastic to a metal top on the fuel filter. I do not remember. I haven't done enough of these. All the ones I have ever purchased, both, or ended up with, both Deere and Wix, and I think I've had one other type of filter. They've all had metal tops. So I'm not really sure when the plastic top was around, but that's what it was on there. So, and I did double check. Oh, wait. Might have just solved something. All right, I'm going to have to get a flashlight and look underneath there. I'm thinking maybe I thought I felt in there earlier. Oh, maybe not. I'm going to get a flashlight and a mirror and look under there and see if maybe the metal part of that top is on there. So there's a good possibility that that filter just going to come apart. So let me do that. All right, so after a little poking and prodding, yes, the metal was up there. I'm not quite sure what I was feeling when I looked earlier. I just didn't see it, but it actually came apart when I went to go pry it out. So that is that. Go set that off to the side in our trash. Now what we're going to do is put the new filter in. We're just going to do this in one fell swoop. Get this up in here like this. Theoretically, it should seat itself. Like I said, this is hard to do one-handed. Normally, this doesn't take me nearly this long to do. There we go. All right, so now there's that. Got the new filter in there. And so what we're going to do, sorry I had to check the camera. I'm going to get our pliers back in there. Tighten it up. Okay, there we go. Now, the biggest part, or the biggest thing that I hear most people complain about is, well, what happens if you run a diesel engine out of fuel? You can never get them restarted again. Well, theoretically, if we turn the fuel back on, like so, and we turn the key on, you can see it fill back up with fuel. And the reason being is because the way this engine's designed, it should mostly be self-bleeding. It was able to fill with fuel because there's a bypass. If you look here, there's actually a bypass. So when it comes through the injector pump, it actually is coming through here, and this line right here goes back to the tank. And if you look on a diesel tank, you will notice that there are two lines. Actually, there could be three. One is the outlet that's being sucked up to the engine. The other one is going to be the return line. The fuel return line is the fuel the injectors do not use. So if you look up here on top of the injectors, right there, that line going back to the, it's not the hard line, which supplies the fuel to the injectors. This line right there is the return. At the same time, just looking on here, you could also have a setup like this, which I imagine this is a return line right here. I believe this is a return line. I'm really going to have to stare at all this again. Yeah, this is a return. Maybe this is the intake. That's a return. I would have to look at how this thing is designed to really get to it. But, because now I have managed to confuse myself something fierce. Anyway, you get the point. So let's see if it'll crank. Now that it's... Actually, let me clean up my mess and we'll see if it cranks. Alright, so now that I got my mess cleaned up so I can actually pull this thing outside, let's see if it cranks after I've changed the fuel filter. It's been sitting here for about 24 hours now. Actually, no, about 18 hours since I cranked it last. So it is cold. So I'll let the go plugs run. Oh, hold on just a second. No, that's right. Why did I just lose my battery? Huh. All right, so now I have another problem to solve real quick. I'm not really sure what just happened. I was trucking along just fine, and now I have no power at the key. So I got to solve that problem. You saw it happen real time. Everything was trucking along just fine. I'll go through, check the battery connection, stuff like that. Ultimately, it was a loose battery connection. I don't know why that all of a sudden happened. It has not been an issue before. Let's see if this thing starts. So just now it worked all the air out of the system. And we should be good to go. Now if you'll notice yesterday, or when I first took this thing out of I'll quit yelling. So if you notice, I'm going to let this thing sit outside and run for a little bit. If you noticed the other day when I cranked it up, and when I cranked it up when it was still in the trailer, it loped a little bit. That was an indication that it was starving for fuel, or potentially starving for fuel. And that's one of the reasons that I probably needed to change the fuel filter. If you noticed, it loped there for just a minute, and then all of a sudden it increased, and it was very steady in its RPMs. I will be interested to see if it stays that way when it is cold again. I'm pretty sure that it was a fuel filter problem. There's not a bigger problem. But this engine, I mean, it runs great, starts right up, no problem whatsoever. So let me start it up. I'm going to let it sit outside for a little bit, and then I'm going to have a look over this deck. So thanks for watching. That's it for this video, changing the fuel filter. What I will do here pretty quick is I will go ahead and do an update, one of the project update videos, and I will describe this entire fuel system. I cannot remember which one's the inlet and which one's the outlet. So you have this line coming here that comes into the fuel filter housing. You have this line here that comes to the fuel filter housing that also goes to the injector pump. And then you have a line in the back that comes out and goes to the ejector pump. I want to say this line right here this is the inlet down here. This is the flow through. So it'll come through here. It goes back to the tank if necessary, or it comes down, goes to the injector. And if it needs to come out of the injector, it goes back down to, I guess, this line right here comes from the return on the injectors. This line right here. And then this line right here is a supply line that goes to the pump. So I think that's the way it is. I'll come back and reconfirm that in a later video. I haven't worked on this particular motor enough to fully describe all of the T's and everything. So thanks for watching.